Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, the channel where we are making a computer role-playing game using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In the last video, I asked people to start to think about how the different encounters or parts of their game were going to fit together. In other words, which story element or event is going to lead to which one. And in particular, I asked people to be aware of the fact that it doesn't have to be the same each time you play the game. You can introduce randomness to that. And in fact, that having such randomness can be a good way to make different instances of playing the game more varied and therefore make people more interested in coming back to the game. And I promised in that video that I was going to start talking about how to actually code particular types of uncertainty or variety, and that's what I'm going to do starting in this video and in the next few ones. So first of all, I'm going to show you a very simple system which will allow you to point the player to a randomly chosen encounter out of a list. What I've done is I have these little markers here. I've named them Well, Market, Minotaur, Thief and Mirror. Those are just based on different elements I've had in previous games that I've made, and they sort of fit the fantasy theme which we've been working on thus far. So I've made these 5 sort of beginning pages for encounters. I haven't made the encounter itself because that's not what we're demonstrating today. I've just got a little bit of text that tells you which encounter you've come to. And what I'm going to show you is how to send the player to a randomly chosen one of those. And it's quite simple. Let me just zoom in. Press the wrong button. There we go. Let me just zoom in. Now, I will say first that you could already do this with coding that I've already taught you. It's just that doing it with what I've taught you so far would take a lot longer and be quite inefficient. You could do something like this. Let's say set z equals random 1 to 5. So we set z to a random value between 1 and 5. If z is 1, we go to Minotaur or Minotaur. And then if z equals 2, go to Mirror. Else if z equals 3, go to, and so on, right? Each different possible value of z sends you to a different page. Perfectly functional. It will work perfectly well, but as you can see, it takes a fair bit of typing, and that's only if that's with only 5 encounters. What if there were 20 or 30 or 40 or 50? Well, it would start to become very long-winded way of doing it. So this is a way that scales up a lot better. So we set NE to 5, which is the number of possible encounters. Then we have an array, which is starts with null, because remember, when we have a list like this for an array, the first value is not slot 1, it's slot 0. And because I find it easier to work with 1 being the first slot, I put null in there to remind me that this one isn't one that's going to be used. You can put anything in there, whatever reminds you, XXX, not used, or you can just have 2 quotes like that. But I personally find it easy to put null. And then we have Minotaur, Market, Thief, Well, Mirror. And of course, if we wanted to add more on, we'd just add them on the end like that. And of course, adjust NE. And then we go set Z equals $L random 1 to NE. In other words, generate a random number between 1 and NE. Generate a random number between 1 and NE inclusive, which is to say 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then find that slot in array L. In other words, it will end up with Z being equal to either Minotaur, Market, Thief, Well, or Mirror. And then, and this is the only new bit, go to Z. I've told you about go-tos already, but so far I've only told you ways that send it to one particular one. So this is the sort of format that I've taught you so far. But you don't have to have this written out. It can be a variable. And because it can be a variable, you can sort of manipulate it in this way. So go to Z. So whatever Z is, go there. Go to Minotaur, Market, Thief, Well, or Mirror. You have to make sure, of course, that these words are the same. Oops. You have to make sure that this list here, Minotaur, Market, Thief, Well, and Mirror, is the same as the names of these pages that you've set up. But if you do that, it will send the player there randomly, and I'll just give you an example. So in that case, it sent us to Minotaur. In that case, it sent us to Market, sent us to Market again, sent us to Thief, and so on. And if we kept doing this, it would eventually send us to all 5 with roughly equal numbers. And you see that it's very, very quick. The player wouldn't notice anything happening. They just, see that as the next part of the adventure. And then if they play it again, they'll find that, no, I actually end up in a different place. So that's how you do that. That's the most basic sort of random direction. Now, there's an obvious problem with this, which is you might want to keep track of where you've been so that you don't go to somewhere twice. So you might want to, instead of going, send us to either Well, Market, Minotaur, Thief, or Mirror, you might want to say, send us to any one of those 5 that the player hasn't been to yet. So you want to make sure that nothing happens twice. And that is what I'm going to show you in the next video. And I hope what I've shown you so far was useful. And I hope you will tune in next time.